Hey guys, Vinny here with Say It Once Dog Training. In this video, I'm going to show you how a slip lead works and when you should properly apply it. Now, the slip lead is a very simple tool. It has a few different parts to it, and let's go over them. Number one is the stopper, and the stopper is the most important part of a good slip lead. If you buy a shitty slip leash, the stopper will move all the time. The point of the stopper is so it does that. It stops. What the stopper can do is it can tighten or loosen on that leash. So you can make it bigger or smaller for a smaller dog or a bigger dog. And when you make it bigger, you can see your big loop. Now this loop has two ways to go on. This is a P for you guys facing me. This is a Q. You have a proper way to put your dog whether they walk on the left or right. And when they walk onto the left, it should make a P for you. When they walk onto the right, it should make a Q for you. This is under the understanding that you're putting it directly on your dog and you're not sneaking up behind them. The best thing about a slip lead is you don't have to sneak up to them. I want you to make this a big loop here. You can take your dog treats and we can feed our dog through this loop lead. What you're not going to do is try to start your dog and rope them up like it's a rodeo. The goal is that this loop lead is an inviting invitation to come put their head into. It's not something I'm going to chase my dog around. We'll talk about that in our walking video. Back to the slip lead. The slip lead can tighten. And one of the most important things you need to understand is that if you are walking your dog with a leash like this and your dog is constantly putting tension going straight down the road, you need to hire a professional or change what you're doing immediately. The goal is that there's not tension on this leash because constant tension can cause harm. You have to think about this. A normal collar works how? You put a normal collar on a dog and they pull, and all those 2 inches of pressure right here, and they're breathing as hard as they can because all the pressure is getting put on the throat right there. On a slip lead, it spreads the weight of the pressure evenly throughout the neck, but I still don't want constant pressure tightening on the top of my dog's neck. And as I say, top of my dog's neck, just like we talked about in our prong collar video, there is a correct location to put the slip lead for when you go on a walk. You want 0 collars down by the shoulder blades. If your collar looks like a medallion that Flavor Flav would wear, that's inappropriate. Your leash needs to go up high, and I'll show you that on a dog in a minute. Now, when you walk your dog, I want the stopper on top of the dog's neck. So if this is my dog's neck, and I tighten this up, and remember guys, that's not tight. You're gonna take it until it touches skin. Now that's tight. I want the stopper on top of the dog's neck, just like this. When you guys carry a slip lead or when you work with a slip lead, how you hold it is really important. You got to remember, this is not a purse. I don't want you guys holding it like this. I want our arms nice and relaxed, like I have ankle weights on my arms. My first hand goes through the slip and I can grab the middle of the leash. My second hand comes down here and both of my arms should be down by my side. I want my left hand to have the ability to move up and down on this leash. So at times I'll stop it, but at times I'm going to give my dog more slack. You're going to notice the difference here when we do our leash walking video with a slip lead. A slip lead is a tool that helps you teach your dog how to heel, but by itself it does nothing. It does not teach you anything. You need to apply the appropriate amount of pressure based off the next video that you're going to watch. But have an understanding that this does nothing. My favorite thing to do with a slip lead is to have 4 of them. And I put them by the front door of my house, by the garage door. Why? It takes 2 seconds. Somebody knocks on the door, zoop, throw it on. My next favorite thing about the Say It Once Dog Training slip lead is that. That is a beautiful thing.
It's a money shot.
That's a beautiful thing. Let's talk about the 2 sizes of slip leash that we use. All of our slip leashes are 6 foot in length, and I like a 6 foot leash. So when I give my dog free time on the walk, I can give them the opportunity to get 6 feet away from me. 4 feet's just a little too close for me. Now, the diameter of this leash, this particular leash is a 3/8 inch slip leash. We also use a 1/4 inch slip leash. And you'll see, based on the videos that I go through, of what type of dog I use for each leash. Yes, there is a size component, but there's also an energy component to which leash I'm going to use. The slip leash can also turn into a transitional or a power loop, and I'll show you guys how that works in our next video. Rach, bring that dog up here.
Place and
Sit.
walking.
So when you have this leash on your dog's neck, this is the position I want this in. And remember, this stopper should not be all the way up here where this leash has the ability to loosen up. I'm going to take the leash And what everybody forgets is that the bottom of the neck is important. You want to take your fingers underneath the collar, bring it all the way up, take it underneath the collar, bring it all the way up, and then tighten that all the way down. And you're going to notice that's right behind the lump on my dog's head. So directly in the middle of my dog's head. That is how a proper slip lead will work. Now, when you go to put this slip lead on, and remember that energy matters. So when you grab the leash, you want to keep your dog in a calm state of mind, all these things that we've gone through in our walking video. But when we take our dog's leash and we put it on, remember, I want to make the P. I don't want to sneak in from behind the head, but this dog's crazy and this dog wants to move. So I'm going to bring him back here. Come here. Sit. Good. One more step up for the camera, bud. Come on. Sit. Good. So when you go to put the leash on, don't make a really small leash that you got to squeeze over top of his head. Make it big. It can get really big. Make it big. We're going to take a treat. My dog's going to help me put his head through. Now the leash is on. I'm going to tighten it up, both from the top and from the bottom. Get those ears in there, and then we lift up, push down, and our slip lead is on. Remember, like I talked about before, if my dog is putting constant tension on this leash, you are doing something incorrect and we need to change it immediately. This is a transitional leash, or the power loop. This is the first time that this dog has ever had it on his head, and I'm going to show you how I like to introduce this to my dog. First thing I want to do is have a lot of food, and you can always have a secondary leash if you feel like you need it. I'm going to take his off because I can tell he might put up a little bit of a fight, but it's not going to be too much. I want my dog to get a lot of wins early on. So I'm going to take my dog's food and I'm going to move him just a little bit. I'm going to back up and come right back to the camera. Come. Good boy. Good boy. Now, that little bit of, there we go. That little bit of pressure that he feels on top of his nose, sit, is going to be something that he needs to get used to. But an easy way for me to get him used to it is get him moving with some food. Come. Attaboy. Attaboy. I'm going to go back forward. Heel. He's going to feel a little bit of pressure. No big deal. I'm going to back up again. Come. Attaboy. Good job, bud. Now, what is the point of this power loop? This power loop is going to give me way more control of the top of this dog's neck. And it gives me the ability to turn his head quicker with ease. I see a lot of people who struggle with handling their dog appropriately, whether it's on a slip or a prong. Or maybe I deal with somebody who just doesn't feel comfortable using a prong collar. And I know their dog needs more than just the standard slip lead. The biggest issue about the gentle leader is that pressure is coming from down on the dog's nose and jaw here. The thing about this transitional lead, come on, nice, good, a little bit of bucking. We're going to see a lot more of that today, so don't worry. The biggest thing about the transitional lead is that the point of pressure is still coming from where? On top of the dog's neck. So yes, while there is pressure that is here that's helping me steer, the main point of contact is going to be behind the dog's head. For the power loop, it should only take me about a finger to move this dog one way or another. That doesn't mean I walk him with a finger, because your dog will be in Ohio before you know it. But I want the ability to move his head. You see how quickly his head moves now with this loop on? Then when he had a slip lead, he's dragging us down the street. It just did nothing to him. So this gives me a lot more control. Now, how you put it on and which way to use it is really important. You have to understand though, guys, when your dog puts up a fight, if they get this nose piece off, they have now validated the fight, and they will fight harder the next time you do it because they know there is an end in mind. Just like with our slip lead and our prong collar, there should never be constant tension on our power loop. If the dog learns that pulling brings him forward, he will continue to pull harder to get where he wants to go. That simply means I need to change direction or go back to the basic heel video, and we need to watch it again. It's important that when you're putting this on, this black tab cannot be loose, and it has to be directly in the middle of your dog's neck. If this is loose and it gives this slack for this to fall off, this has a lot of slack now to come off your dog's head on accident. And when you walk with a power loop, it is absolutely acceptable, and something I would request is that you put a backup on this. I'll show you guys how to do that in our backup video. So we have our dog on a power loop, and now we have to figure out, Vinny, how the heck do you put that thing on? What did you do for that? It's just a slip lead, okay? But in order to put this the power loop on, I'm gonna make the slip lead huge. Okay, so I make my slip lead very big. I put it over top of his head the right way. He walks on my left, so it's still gonna be giant P for giant puppy. So I get my P on. Nice, Vinny, nice. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna twist it in my hand. So what I'm gonna take this leash here, hi buddy, lift your head up. I'm gonna take this leash here and we're not gonna let our dog put his paws through. I'm gonna twist it like that and make a figure 8 with the leash. So we make the figure 8, we put it over top the dog's nose and we tighten everything. Now, when you're doing this, if they start to buck, do not panic. It's not that big of a deal. Sit. Good. I need my dog to understand that this is something that has to go on. Now, good things happen when this goes on. He gets fed, he goes for walks, etc., etc. We can do training in a house with it, which we will. You're not going to only put this on outside. You need to get this dog comfortable sitting in the house doing nothing so he learns to become accustomed to this quicker and conditioned to this quicker. Now, we have this power loop on. It's centered up, it's tight, it's perfect. I'm going to show you guys how to put that on and off one more time. So when it's time to take it off, we loosen. It'll slip right off the nose. Comes right off like a regular slip lead. So when it goes on, you make it big. It goes over top of his head. We take the slip and we make a figure 8 over top the nose, directly into the center, and we tighten it all up. And remember, we want it right underneath the ears, and we put it down. Sometimes you're gonna notice your power loop may be all twisted, and you put it on over here like, Vinny, how the hell did I do that? You just have to take the leash itself, twist it. I know, buddy. We're gonna loosen it up, twist it, so it's coming off the nose directly into the center of his skull. Now, right now, this particular dog, who is a sweet dog, who pulls a lot on the leash, this is the first time he's ever had this on, and you notice he's doing a lot of behavior that he wouldn't typically do. He's looking at the ground, he's feeling like a little, what is this sensation on his nose? When you go through this, it's really important not to humanize this too much. You don't want to go, oh, buddy, he looks sad. He looks unsure because he's never had this happen a day in his life. The same way that I looked unsure the first time I did anything in my life. If it's a necessary tool for you to take your dog for a walk, it's a necessary tool. It's not something that you should feel bad about. Through enough time, this dog will understand that this thing going on means good things. And I guarantee if I get him moving and allow him to do what he wants to do, is go for a walk, he's gonna be jazzed up. And I'll show you. When we go to take this off, you take this black lead, or this black stopper, we loosen it up, and it comes directly off the nose, and now we have our slip, back to our slip lead. I wanna put it on again, figure 8, straight through, keep it up high and tight, right behind the ears, and we have our transitional. Yeah, so for the slip lead, he's kind of all over the place, and it's just too much. It's too much pressure constantly nagging him. So I'm gonna switch to give me something a little bit more control. And I'm gonna show you guys the power loop. Sit, I'm gonna lift and tuck that butt down. We're gonna loosen this up. It's important to do the power loop inside unless you know exactly what you're doing, but I don't want you to lose your dog. So I'm gonna make the loop by making our figure 8. We put it on our dog. We tighten it down and have it right on the center of his head. And now we are ready to rock with our power loop. I'm gonna go right back to my basic figure 8s. No tension unless required. So I'm gonna go heel, he doesn't come, a little bit of tension, no tension on my leash. Heel, it's important to see here, guys, is he's gonna try to take this off. And when he does, I'm gonna be stiff on my leash. If he tries to alligator roll, do anything to get this lead off, I'm gonna make sure that I make him understand, heel, this is not gonna come off no matter what it is that you do. You cannot have tension. Now he's being slow because he's trying to figure out, what is this thing on my nose? But if I see you try to go for that, I'm gonna immediately correct with a lift up and tell him no, or whatever the term is that you guys are using. I'm gonna get him to move. We're not allowed to be stationary. I'm gonna come back to Josh so we can see this. So when he walks and he tries to take this off his head, or stop, or do any of this hissy fit, yes, it is uncomfortable. Yes, it's gonna be okay. And we'll go right back to walking. Heel. Good boy. Nope. We're not allowed to stop. Nope. And we're definitely not allowed to get our paws in there. And I go right back to relaxed. No big deal. We continue to walk.
Turn your head towards me when you talk.
Yep. This is good. This is a good fight here. It is important not to stop. You want to keep on walking. You want to use your momentum to your advantage. Now he thinks that his little hissy fit got him to stop. Got him to stop the movement, got him to stop any pressure on his nose, so you can't do that. So I'm gonna go back this way so you guys can see exactly that. Yep. So when our dog is going through this panic, you gotta get their paws out, and you have to understand that you can't be panicking as well. I'm gonna twist this just because I want it the right way, and this is why it's important to have that backup on this leash. If you notice that your stopper is on the wrong side of the head, you're gonna have to twist both ends of this at the same time to get this to move to where you want it to go. So if it's stuck on one side, move both of them to get them back. We have it now in the right position. I'm gonna tighten, put the stopper down, move this just back just a little bit, and let's get rocking. Heel. This is all because he wants off of this lead. And that's okay. Your dog's allowed to put up a small fight for this. Good. I'm gonna turn. Heel. Good boy. Good. Now I'm gonna ask him to sit. Yes. I'm gonna feed him. It's important to note when you have a dog who is putting up a hissy fit, we will not be feeding him by stopping frequently. So once again, I don't want him to think that his hissy fit makes him stop. Come. Good boy. Good. So every few steps, I'm just going to back up. Come. Good boy. I know he doesn't like it, but if he can move, come. For food with the leash on. And I'm just going to lightly tap this leash just a little bit. So the pressure from the leash actually means I'm going to get food. So tap to come get food. Tap to come get food. Good boy. Heel. And now we can go forward. Good boy. Sit. Yes. Tucker. Heel. Good boy. Good. Tuck. Come. That's a boy. Good. We're going to bring him back to that food. Good boy. Heel. Very good, Tuck. Very good boy. Very good. And I'm going to back up one more time. Coop, come. Oh, it's Tucker. Good boy. Good. Keep that hand low. Don't make him work too hard right now. You always hear me talk about how the dog has to put in more effort than you do. But when you're teaching something new, it's okay to put in a boatload of effort. Good boy. Yep. And now, I should have a dog who's much more comfortable on the power loop. Nice, he got the old biscuit stuck in the throat. And you notice that my hands are not tight, but if I notice his mouth or paw going for that bridge of the nose, a very stiff no with a very stiff leash pop. So I'm just gonna bring it straight up when he does try to do that. You cannot have a fight ongoing, so I'll go ahead and turn. Yep. Good boy, good boy. And then stop right there. Yep. Good boy. Good. Nope. That's that enough right there. If you're gonna go for that, and I hope you can see it, if you're gonna go for your nose, enough. The second that it starts, you're not gonna let it build and build and build into this huge thing. Stop it right there. If you have a dog who's fixating on their nose, get them to do some work. Whether that work is just come to me and feed, or I could use my place bed. Sit. Now, for dogs that struggle with something on their face, like a dog who requires a muzzle or requires a power loop, place bed is a great option. I put them on place with a power loop, and your only goal is to stay here and I'll feed you. If you try to take it off with your paws, I will literally say nope and pop it right there. So if they try to take it off with their paws, I'll say no and correct, and your goal is to stay there. Some dogs have an easier time learning to accept the loop on the place bed versus on the walk, and that's perfectly fine. I have to set a lot of time throughout my day with the power loop on, getting my dog accustomed to it. I'm gonna walk them in the house with it on. I'm gonna make them go into a down or on place with it on. I'm gonna take them for a walk with it on. So the power loop is not something that's a once a day, 15-minute ordeal. Get them comfortable, especially early on.
Gotcha.
Yep. So when your dog when you start your walking with the power loop, it's all generally the same as with any heel command, but it's important not to snap the head here. You should be guiding with pressure, heel, that should come parallel with the earth. So when I want to turn my dog here, I'm gonna go heel, parallel with the earth. I'll do one more turn here so you guys can see. I'm walking, heel, parallel, good boy. When I want my dog to sit straight up, good boy. But you'll notice that most of this pressure is with 2 fingers, guys, good boy. We got a dog whose tail's wagging, he's happy. Heel, we're gonna turn. Now, remember, no tension on this. Do not put tension first or the dog will get confused. So if you're putting tension without them doing anything wrong, they have to figure out, how do I get the tension away? What am I doing wrong that's causing that tension to be there? So we keep our arms nice and relaxed. Heel, 2 inches of pressure, sit. Good boy. And now we have a dog who's trained on the power loop.